we see teams go from big-time losing to big-time winning.
A new era begins in Carolina with Frank Reich at the helm, but is he right? Can the Panthers win now? Welcome to Charlotte Sports Live, and yes, he's here. New Panthers head coach Frank Reich introduced at a press conference this afternoon, along with Joe Morano. I'm Mike Lissette.
Mike, plenty of aspects to this thing that was said today. All right, Frank's press conference is one-on-one interviews that we'll have for you in a second. But we start with the most important, how Frank Reich now has the keys to the vehicle that is the Carolina Panthers, Mike.
Absolutely. Everybody's excited. He's excited. And you know what? For him, the sixth head coach in franchise history, this is a full circle moment. 61-year-old makes his return to the organization almost 28 years after taking the first snaps at quarterback in franchise history. That Panthers squad back in 1995 went 7-9. In fact, they finished with the exact same amount of wins as the team that Frank now inherits. However, the new coach isn't just thinking about making improvements. He's got his sights set on winning championships, too. A lot of optimism all around, and Joe, as you can imagine, it was a very busy first day for Reich. Matter of fact, before speaking to the media, he actually spoke with us.
That is right. Will Kunkel covers it from all angles in this exclusive Charlotte Sports Live interview.
Well, he said a lot, necessarily without saying a lot, but there were things in there that we did pick out and we did like. What do you like about what Frank said today?
This will be a little bit of a process. What I liked was what he just finished up with there, is that it's small things that can lead to wins. The case in point here, we referenced this before. The NFC East 2 years ago, the winner was Washington, and it was under 500. 2 weekends ago, three NFC East teams were still in the playoffs. Things can turn quick in this league. The thing is, this blueprint that you're talking about, it's a longer process than I think he's saying.
And we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but we're not going to tell you how we're going to do it. Right. That's how it's done the first day. What I liked, it was interesting today, the press conference, a lot of these introductory press conferences for head coaches, it's a lot of rah-rah. I thought he was asked some tough questions today about what went wrong with Indianapolis down the stretch. And in fairness, I mean, a lot of it was outside of his control. 5 different quarterbacks at the start of 5 different seasons. He said he learned a lot from that. And I like that. I like the fact that he took ownership of it and said, he's going to be a stronger coach because of it.
And I do think that should be looked at as a positive for Carolina fans, because this is a team that doesn't necessarily know this quarterback is going to be coming up next year. He's inherited a lot of different scenarios just in Indy in those 5 years, and he was able to deliver a good amount, over 500 overall, playoffs a couple of years right there too. So I think he's going to get into a similar situation, and he's a good offensive mind that can at least grow some quarterback talent.
Absolutely.
There were plenty other notes from that press conference this afternoon.
I would say so, but you know what? The week is not over yet. We got more reaction tonight on the hiring of Frank Reich by the Panthers. We look ahead to tomorrow's NFC and AFC championship games. And Gabe McDonald, he goes one-on-one with Hornets guard Bryce McGowens. But we start with ACC hoops. Unranked Duke on the road in the ATL facing Georgia Tech. First half, Duke up 11. Kyle Filipowski barrels into the lane. Florida. Blue Devils up 13, Filipowski 18.7 boards. Later in the first, Blue Devils up 11, Ryan Young up strong. That's how you do it. He's fired up, Duke up 13. Second half, that lead up to 24, Tyrese Proctor, Derek Lively.
What a lob.
A lively alley-oop. Duke doubles up Georgia Tech 86-43. Blue Devils have Wake Forest next, then the Tar Heels next Saturday. I got that close one and raise you another. Florida State hosting number 24 Clemson. Tigers trailed by 2 in the second half. It's Chase Hunter. He ties it up. Then, just over a minute and a half to go, Florida State with the ball, up 1. Missed dunk. How about Cam Corrin there for the putback? It's a 3-point game. 10 seconds now. Clemson down to Chase Hunter. Chase Hunter.
Speaking of big games.
Chase Hunter going the length of the court, puts it in, and he's fouled. So after the free throw, Clemson goes up 1. Florida State, they did have one last shot, but spoiler alert, it didn't go in. And Clemson wins a close one, 82-81. We got more highlights from our local college teams ahead, but we switch gears to your Carolina Panthers and their new head coach, Frank Reich. He will officially be introduced Tuesday during a press conference at noon.
Yeah, and then after that, he'll get right to work. And one of his first tasks, alongside Scott Fitterer, will be figuring out what to do at the quarterback position. Carolina has the 9th overall pick in the NFL draft, plus Well, it is a name that will forever be linked to Charlotte pro basketball. We're talking about Paul Silas. He passed away in December at the age of 79.
His former NBA teammates, coaches, and players were finally able to gather today in the Queen City to remember Silas, as well as his overall impact on the association. And believe me, there was no shortage of great stories today.
Big man.
Former Charlotte Hornets and Bobcats coach Paul Silas often told his friends, "If I ever get into a fight with a bear, save the bear."
I believe it. You better help that bear for sure. He was definitely very tough.
Those that came to honor Silas at a memorial Saturday knew it. There were tons of stories, like the time Silas, then coaching the Bobcats and nearing his 70s, challenged one of his players to a fight.
Had him up against the locker, and, he's a competitive guy.
He walked in a room, there was presence.
But ultimately, Silas didn't fool anyone. As they said, underneath that towering 6'7" frame was an equally big heart. Hence why so many of his coaching peers and former players came to pay their last respects to Silas, who died last month in Denver at the age of 79.
He deserves to be honored. He was a wonderful man, a wonderful coach and father. And, he's an icon in the NBA.
And that's the man, Paul Silas.
The pro basketball career of Silas spanned almost 50 years, and pretty much every era was present at the memorial. In addition to several current members of the Hornets organization, including head coach Steve Clifford, there was former Boston Globe writer Bob Ryan, who covered Silas as a player on the Celtics in the 70s. Current Pacers coach Rick Carlisle, who coached with Silas as a fellow assistant with the Nets in the 90s. And you can't forget about Baron Davis, who played for Silas with the Hornets later that decade.
I watched him kick 4 players out of a game in my career. It was the most entertaining thing in my life.
Then there was short-time New Orleans Hornet member Robert Pack, who remembers the time Silas put him in his place in the nicest possible way.
I said, Coach, I want to chase Allen Iverson around. Let me do it. I just remember him looking at me, and then something came, and then he asked me what was my favorite restaurant. Let's move on to something. I had to get him back on track.
Classic Silas, 3-time NBA champ, 2-time NBA All-Star, and once-in-a-lifetime individual.
The name says it all. He was a champion in every sense of the word, and will be missed.
Yeah, Morgan, to piggyback off of what you just said, there's certainly some mixed reactions to this new hire. A lot of people like Frank Reich, but a lot of people like Steve Wilkes, too. They saw what he did last year. He took a team from the brink of oblivion to the brink of the playoffs, and that's got to mean something, except it didn't mean something. And they don't have anything against Reich, but they're sort of tired of this back and forth. They want to get to the promised lands. They're tired of not being there. So, as you just heard, a lot of different opinions on the hiring of Frank Reich. Here's the bottom line, though. Wherever we talk to, whether they were for Reich or against Reich or for Wilkes or against Wilkes, all the Panther fans we talk to, they just want to win. And by no means are they going to give up on this team. They've been through it since the beginning. All the people we talk to, they want to see a winner, and they're sticking with him. From outside Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette, Queen City News.